Hi FlossTube, my name's Dana and my channel name is Gemstone Stitches. I am coming back to do an update for what I've been able to cross stitch over the last couple of months or so. I am looking a little haggard today because I've been sneezing a lot. My allergies have just been kicking in a lot over the last month. It seems like on and off I'll just have days where I'm sneezing and my nose is running, and I've also been up since like 3:30 in the morning and had a full day already, but I'm alone in the house and I've been wanting to film a FlossTube video for a while, so I'm going for it. The sun usually is over there. Now it's coming in this way, so hopefully it all goes okay. I have a handful of whips to share and then also some exciting haul. I haven't bought haul in a while and I'm really excited about one of the projects that I have ready to go at some point. The first whip that I have to show you is Mirabilia's Maze Emerald Fairy. This I'm stitching for my daughter Tinsley, who is 7. I only pull it out in the month, so far really in the month of May. And she's still so young that that's okay. I don't need to finish it right away. But here is where I got to now. Her skin is basically all finished. I could have said it was all finished, except I noticed there's a little finger that pokes out of the dress over here that I guess I didn't see or notice to stitch while I had those colors out. And I think I was just really excited to move on to the wing and pull out this Krennic color. I still need to go back through and try to clean right here on her arm where I got a little bit of pencil mark. I explained that in my last video. But she's looking really good. And that Krennic is sparkling in the sunlight. That's fun. This is stitched on a 28 count graceful gray linen. The next project I have is Summer Quaker by Lila's Studio. And I wanted to pull this out in the summertime. I always watch Samantha the Hugo Stitcher's videos, and she talks about basically all the seasons in her videos. And I'd love to stitch all the seasons too. However, I only have this one on the go, and I don't even think I've bought any of the other seasons, but I like all of them, and even the Halloween one I love too. So I pulled this out. I started it last summer, and then I had a good stitching session on it this summer. Maybe I'll stitch on it a little bit more before the summer's over too. This is how far I am. This is very, very small. It's 1/1 on, I think, 46 count white. So, antique white Bristol linen. 1/1. So I worked a lot over here. Nope, I did not fill in the cloud yet. I think the cloud's supposed to be filled in with white. Did some more of this border here, a lot more waves, and came down into the boat. Finished the houses and the trees. I was gonna go up and start the boat and the sails, but I ran into an issue. because I picked a white linen, I'm not exactly sure what to do with the sails because they are white. There's a little bit of gray around each sail, so I could be good to go, but I don't know. I'm thinking of maybe pulling out the called for gray that goes around each sail, like it goes around a corner of each sail, and then looking at the DMC options and maybe pulling out just 1 or 2 shades lighter of a gray, just so that the sails aren't completely white. But we'll have to see what I end up doing to solve that problem. I did also come down and stitch on the little fishies because this is all just a lot of blue. It's very, very stitch heavy, this project. I didn't realize how stitch heavy this was until I got into it, because I have spent, feels like a lot of time on that project, but it's only a little bit done. So there's the little fish, and there's some more stuff down here, but all of that is just water until I get to the mermaid. Lots of just full coverage. But I do want to keep chipping away at the center as much as I can, just because that part is going to take the longest, and then it will be easier to go around and do all the Quakers after. And then what I've been working on the most is my stocking. For Christmas in July, also because I'm focusing for a finish on this project for the year of 2012. I want all 5 of the stockings for my family hung up on the fireplace this year if possible. So this is actually my stocking, the last one to go, and it's called Sleigh Ride at Dusk by Dimensions Gold. And here is where I'm at now. So I have gone all the way down. I'm not really sure where it was. Somewhere in here I had some more to go. I believe the tree was all the way done. And I made a big mistake. So what I wanted to do, all this bottom bit is half stitching, all these snow colors down here. And what I wanted to do is just pick one of the colors. There's some blends in there as well. So all these, there's white, there's like almost a peachy blue mixed blend in here. Lots of different blues and blends of blues and grays throughout here. So I picked one of the blends and I just was going to town and stitching it all throughout. I went all the way around up here, wherever it was throughout the stocking. And I even went up, I believe, into this area where there's supposed to be some snowmen, and stitched in there. And then when I started going through again, I was realizing that things seemed off. And so I double checked, and sure enough, I was off by enough to where I wasn't sure what was happening, and I hadn't stitched the dog in yet. I hadn't stitched this whole part yet. And so what I decided to do is go through and stitch the dog in this scene. And then I painstakingly took 2 to 3 hours to rip out all of that color that I did that was wrong, in the wrong spot, because it was off by like 2 and 2, I don't know. It was enough to where I just didn't know what was happening anymore, and I needed to know what was going on. So that was a bummer. Big bummer. But it did lead me to finishing this scene and getting that dog in. I did also pull the snow. I think I stopped the snow somewhere up here, and I pulled it all the way down and came through here. So this is kind of like the road that they're going on. So I still have some filling in of a color, I believe, in here, and there's going to be more throughout here, and then I have to come around, and then there's going to be 2 snowmen up here. But it's looking really good. It's getting there, and I really don't want to put it down. I feel like I'm just going to keep stitching on this throughout the month of August. Today's August 16th, I believe. And so I was thinking I would just keep stitching on it. I am traveling to my mother-in-law's house in a couple days. So I'll bring a different project with me for that. But otherwise, I'll maybe keep going on this project. Because I want to finish it this year. So this is August. And let's say I don't really stitch on it at all in September. I mean, this could be really big wishful thinking, but maybe I could finish out all the rest of this half stitching and this little snowman scene in the next 2 weeks. And then take a break from it in September, but bring it back in October to maybe do the name banner. And then in November, maybe I need to do the name banner and the back stitching in October. And then in November, plan to FFO it, because that will take, you know, a good chunk of a day to do. Maybe more, because I always run into issues when I FFO these stockings. It's not a relaxing process, let's just say that. It's like, let's get all our supplies together and hope for the best with the sewing machine. Okay. Next. I don't think I'm going in order of when I stitch the stuff, but that's okay. I worked on my Heaven and Earth design, Peacock Daze, artwork by Josephine Wall. And I officially went into the next page. I was kind of finishing off some colors of thread if I still had some on my needle from the previous page, and kind of going into the next page. And I also was kind of feathering down into the other pages so that I can try to avoid the column lines and the row lines that can tend to happen. And I got a good chunk done. So it's big flowers in her hair that I'm stitching right now. And this page is kind of fun because while there is a lot of confetti, because there's always a lot of confetti in this project, there's also a lot of colors that there's a ton of stitches in the page. So it's really nice to be able to just grab a color and know that you're going to be maybe stitching on that color the whole night, and maybe have to finish that color, stitch on it in your next session to finish it out. So what I usually do is I pick a color in the top corner and then color complete it through the page. And sometimes I cheat and say I did a color that only had 10 stitches or something. And then I select the next color in Pattern Keeper and see that, again, it's only going to have 10 stitches throughout the page. So instead of doing that color, I'll pick another one near there that's going to have a lot more colors, or a lot more stitches throughout the page, like maybe 50 stitches or even more. And then I'll go back to the other color and do the minimal stitches that's needed. Kind of switch it up a little bit, just so you don't feel like you're constantly changing colors. But I have it really well set up to where I can count off a bunch of other stitching on the page, and I have my bearings down really well. And it's very deceiving. I look at this and think, wow, that looks like I'm halfway done. Maybe the next time I pull this out, I can get the other half done. But there's always more left than you think, that's for sure, on these full coverages. So I'm right here in this big flower area. And I have part of her neck done. That's what those darker blocks of color are. So I'm ready to pull that back out and finish a page, because it's a goal of mine to really make as much progress on that every year, so I can eventually end up finishing them. Because I have this dream that I already have a stitching shelf by Amy Stewart, and it's a Heaven and Earth design. It's not max color or max size or anything. It's regular colors. Although I'm thinking about possibly going to the max color version. We'll see. But I have a dream of doing that one, and then also, like, I have 3 kids, so I was thinking I would do that one, and then there's another Amy Stewart, I think it's called Animal Kingdom. That looks really awesome. And then I have a couple others that I love of Amy Stewart's, like the Treasure Hunt bookshelf maybe, or the Fantasy. She has a ton of them, so I just need to look again to see which ones look the most fun. But for sure, I like the Animal Kingdom one and the stitching shelf. That's a lot, though, to think you're gonna finish 3 stitching shelves by Amy Stewart in a lifetime. So, I don't know. But that's the last project that I have left. I did StitchMania back in like 2016, something around there. And I had stitched, I started this and did like 2 pages of it on 2/2 on 25 count. And I finally realized that that was just not okay. It was too thick and hard to put your needle through with all the different colors. And so finally bit the bullet and restarted it, and I restarted it during StitchMania. And I was thinking about that. Every other project I started that year in StitchMania, which was 15 projects, I have finished and completed, except for 2, which are my only 2 UFOs. I thought I would show you those, because these are things that I think about here and there, like, should I stitch them, should I not? At one point, I got my husband and I these Northern Expressions needleworks projects for our birthday month. So he's July, and my son's also July. It's kind of funny that there's snowflake looking corners in July, but maybe that's because I don't know where the designer is from for Northern Expressions needlework. So I started these two. I spent one evening on October, which is my month. Sorry for the glare. There's, it's all one color of DMC, but there's also beads in all of these too. So I started ours, and then as we added to the family, I got my daughter's September and May. So blue and green. And I'll show you what I started. This is on 40 count, which is another thing. I was like, this is really small. But what I love about Northern Expressions needlework is that there's specialty stitches, and it's fun to do those. So for October, it was pretty difficult. Those are little tiny queen stitches, like 1, 2, 3, 4. They go up and down all the way around to do the border. It's so tiny you can't even tell what's going on. And then July is some sort of like L type stitch, but it's not a cross stitch. So if I were to do this again, I don't think I'm going to do it on 40 count because it's just too small to see what's even being stitched. Just looks like a bunch of thread in your fabric. I thought I would share my UFOs that might at some point return. I did not stitch at all on, I don't believe, on my chatelaine. So that's in September. I want to bring out my Heaven Earth design and my chatelaine again and get some more progress on those two things. And then I want to work on Summer Quaker and Mirabilia's Fairy. That's what September's looking like. And I'm forgetting something. I have one more project to share, and I didn't bring it over here. It's still in its product bag. This is my, what's it called? Travel stitch. And I haven't been traveling because it's been summer. We did go to New Hampshire for our annual Lake Winnipesaukee trip, and then we stayed in North Conway for a little while. So I brought this with me, and then I left it out. My sister came and visited, and she ended up extending her stay a lot, and so she was here for a good 2 weeks. And so I just kept this out while she was visiting, so anytime there was a moment to stitch, this is what I worked on. So I decided to make my way up because I finished, last time I was stitching this and showing you, I finished this section and up here and back stitched. No, I already had this section done. I finished up and back stitched this hallway and then the bottom section. So then I decided to go up and stay in the middle for now before I choose to go right or left. So I'm just working on the structure, all the browns. There's a lot of brown and woodworking detail in this project. I forgot to tell you, this is called Victorian Dollhouse by Joan Elliott. So right here. And there's a big chimney right there to do. Lots of blues in here for the roof. It will be getting lots of love here soon as we enter into the school year again. Because summer, we've just been summering hard, like staying put really. The kids have been either at camp or with their grandmas while we're working, and then they get home and we just like, we're taking advantage of being outside a lot, going swimming a lot. There's some great areas nearby that you can just go freshwater swimming or go hiking, doing that sort of thing. Just staying busy otherwise, like, you know, trying to keep the house clean if you can. But yeah, the kids, they'll be having like 6 weeks of soccer, both my son and a middle daughter, plus all their year-long activities will start up again at the beginning of school, which is next Wednesday, August 27th. So I'll get to stitch on this a lot when all that starts up again. And probably not get to stitch much on much else. If I have energy when I get home, maybe I'll stitch on my other stuff. So yeah, those are my whips. That's what I have planned also coming up. And then here is the haul that I bought. So I've been itching to do another long dog. I finished, still not hung up on the wall. I showed this last time, but this is Spirit of Veerland. Now, I wanted to get it out to show you how I chose a very light lavender fabric with a dark purple DMC, which is DMC 550. And I have this idea of doing a bunch of long dogs in the different colors, kind of almost like a rainbow effect. So I have the purple one done already. And then, you know, there's red, orange, yellow, green, blue to do as well. So I thought, why don't I pick my next long dog and the color? And I was inspired by Andrew, the runner stitcher. He is doing a lot of green. Like he has one main green project. What is that designer that everyone stitches on? I forget. It's almost like similar to Long Dog, but not. It's kind of like a big geometric type project that you pick colors for, similar to Long Dog. So I said, okay, it's gonna be green, and what am I gonna do? So I was looking through the Long Dog list or options, and I really got drawn to Act of God because of all the diamondy shapes. And I was like, well, what does this mean? Like, is there like a big, is it all about the Bible, or is it like, why does it say Act of God? So I got to reading about it, and it kind of spoke to me in another way, because it's kind of like crazy, out of this world type phenomenons that happen, like an act of God. And even when you're signing a big contract and they're saying, you know, you won't be refunded unless XYZ happens, or even an act of God. Like that term is actually in contracts, because I used to plan events, and I would plan events for thousands of people and have to sign these contracts with these huge venues, and they're pages and pages long, and there's a whole section about, you know, this is how much you have to pay at this date. And if you cancel, this is how much you might get back up until this date. That whole stuff. And the only reason why you wouldn't be penalized is if there is a big natural disaster or an act of God. And that is, and like, I remember reading these contracts and seeing that in there. So it's like, oh, reminds me of my old job that I did not like that much. It was kind of stressful, but I do like this project. I just love all the shapes and the diamonds. So then I thought, okay, now I need to find me a fabric, and it's going to be on the green spectrum. So I chose a hand-dyed fiber on a whim 40 count kiwi. So it's kind of bright, but it's fun. I looked and looked on 123 Stitch. I really wish I had a store near me that I could go to and pick fabrics from, but I still love it. I think this is really pretty. And I wanted to do a 40 count because I want to stitch 1/1. This one is 2/2. So this might end up being smaller. We'll just have to see. I like the delicate look of 1/1 on the higher count. And so I was pulling out colors. Let me see. I was looking at this this DMC book I have. What is it called? Color card. So it has all your DMC colors. Not sure if the new ones are in here, but let me see. Kiwi I just kind of looked to see what kiwi was the most like, and it seemed like this row was, oh, I don't know. Seemed like this row was good. Let me see. Yeah, I went into this row and I pulled out 904 and I think 937 maybe, and 937 and 904, this darker one. And I think 904 looks the best with it. I have one little skein. It's coming, 904 is coming out a little bit darker than it really is in person. So that's what I'm thinking right now. I don't know what, when I'll ever start this, but I have time to change my mind. So that's something I'm really excited about because I loved stitching that long dog. It was, oh, here it is. So 937. So in this lighting, this one kind of looks better, but this one's a little lighter than the 904, and I like that dark, I like that contrast. Which, by the way, even this dark purple is looking way darker than it is in real life. So, yeah, that's good to think about because this is just a little too light for me on this. I might even do some test stitching to see. But that's one thing. And then a while ago, I bought a Mill Hill frame. So I thought I better start, what I'd like to do is have some Mill Hills for different seasons of the year. So I just ran through all their Mill Hill, what are they called? I don't know, there's a name for these, but they're all 5x5. I got this one for a summer option, even it could even be like February time, So when we're all ready for winter to be over, we can think about the beach. But the flamingos make a heart. So I thought this one's really pretty and cute. I like all the colors. And then for winter, that one's called Flowering Flamingos. And this one's called Winter Woodpecker. And I really like this because since I've visited Vermont before I moved here, and now that I live here, I hear woodpeckers, something I don't remember ever experiencing when I was younger. And so whenever I hear woodpecker, I look for it, and you can usually find them, and they have a red head. And it's always exciting for me when I see a woodpecker out there. They're kind of crazy little birds. Well, I think I read recently that their tongue wraps around their brain, something like that. So when they're sitting there whacking their head at the tree, I guess that provides a little bit of a padding for them. I still need to figure out why they do that too. But that's a good one for winter. And then I've had this project for a little while. It's called Moroccan Lanterns by Vivsters. You can find her on Etsy, Vivsters. I just like the colors of this one. And what I wanted to do is, it's a DMC colors, I believe. But instead of just having DMC 310 or whatever the dark color it is that they call for, I want to do a metallic, because in real life these would be metal, have a little bit of shine to them. So I bought a treasure braid, and I think it'll work. That's what I had in mind. Petite treasure braid, and it is PB05. So it's this black, but there's some sparkle to it. I'm probably gonna have to buy a lot of it to get through the whole project, but yeah, it'll be fun. Because I have a dream of one day having kind of like a more antique room, because I love antiques. I love the feel of going into an antique shop and old things. That's always very interesting to me. So I want a room where I have all my stuff like that, which could include a lot of my cross stitching that feels more like older world type cross stitching, more sampler type stuff with those type of colors, more muted type colors. And then I want a more Moroccan room, because I'm always very drawn to like the mosaic, pretty lights, that kind of decor, the bright colors. And I have some cross stitches that would fit that type of decor. So one day when I have more time to think about designs and pieces to buy for my house to make that come alive, I can also be stitching these and eventually hang them up on the wall. The other thing that I did, because I wanted to just kind of kit up and prepare more with the things that I already have bought, so that if I ever do want to just start something, I can, because I have it ready, is this. This is Indigo Lane. I live on an Indigo Lane. That's the name of my street. And I saw somebody stitching this. I don't remember her name, but I just loved the colors of it, and the greens and the blues and the grays. The big bird and the big flowers are always kind of weird for me on these, but I can get into that. And it's by Brenda Gervais. And I got that a little while ago, and I also picked up this fabric. I don't know if it's the called for fabric, but It's a Jerafim Regency 36 count linen by Farm Girl Dry Goods. So, Farm Girl Dry Goods. And it's a really pretty piece of fabric here. We'll see how it looks on camera, but it's a neutral. Again, the darker parts are coming out a lot more dark than they actually are. So all that dark bit, it's there, but it's not that dark in real life. And there's also blue, like blue splotches that aren't really turning out either. Let me see if I can find a good one that will show up better. It's like there's some blue throughout here, and then down at the bottom there's more blue right here, and maybe some more on this side. This is the other side. And so I think that's gonna work out really well. I already had those two parts, so I wanted to kit it up with the classic. It calls for Classic Color Works and Weeks Dye Works, and I'm kind of in a mode now of whatever I buy, if it calls for fancy floss, I'm getting the fancy floss from now on. So all these different color blues, grays, tans. This green is pretty light and bright. A little more yellowy green than I expected, but in the picture it looks a little more green than yellow. So we'll see how that goes. So that was another part of my purchasing. I think that's it. So I'm getting that itch to do more than the handful of projects that I've been stitching all year. While I've really enjoyed stitching those, making progress on those, and I'll continue to do that, I want to go back to stitching more throughout the years, touching more of my whips, and also starting a few more as well. Again, that doesn't lead me to a lot of finishes, but I think each year I'm just going to focus. I'm going to pick one project that I'll make it a goal that I finish, and then have my focus pieces that I really want to keep working on so that eventually they get finished, even though they're going to be years-long pieces. And then just have fun with the rest of it. See how it all goes. Yeah, I think that's about it. Things are great here. It's very, very busy. I don't get to stitch as much as I want to ever. I find myself sometimes I sit down and I might be able to steal a moment to stitch, but it's like I just feel the minute I get myself situated and have a thread in my hand, like a kid's gonna come over crying about something, and it's just like, is it even worth it to get it out? Or I just have like a 10 to 15 minute span where I just stare at my phone instead of stitching. But I want to stitch for more than 10 to 15 minutes, so it's almost like not worth it for me to stitch in that short amount of period of time. And then since I've been getting up so early for work, a lot of the times I'm just very tired. I've never gone to work this early before. So it has really made me want to go to bed early. So therefore, I don't know. I used to stitch into the night, like too late. I was staying up too late to stitch, and that's when I got a lot of my stitching done, and I'm just not doing that now. Although I will say I'm still making progress. It's not like I haven't gotten to stitch at all. So I can't complain that much. It's just that I always want to stitch, and I feel like it's like really hard to get that time that I want. That's the season of life we're in, people. So it will be like this for a while longer, and I'll enjoy whatever time I do get to stitch. And I hope you guys are enjoying everything you have going on. I forgot. I'm so thrilled. Two things I forgot. Jeez. I'm so focused on making sure to share the stuff that's around me that I forget the other stuff that's just supposed to be remembered in my brain. Andrew, the runner stitcher, he saw my video where I mentioned him. Last video I talked about my marathon, and he was very inspiring to me, because I would watch his videos, and every time he ends a video, he says, if you're a runner, keep running. So that stuck with me a lot. And I thought about him a lot while I was training too, because I'm like, he runs marathons. You know, I don't really know people who run marathons. So he was one person that I knew who ran marathons. So anyway, he watched my video and he had the sweetest thing to say. I was so thrilled and excited when I heard everything he had to say. So I thank you, Andrew, a lot for shouting me out in your video. That was really special. And I'm really enjoying watching your channel and what you have going on, where you're getting the community involved in your training for your coming marathon in Australia, which will be really, really exciting. I can't wait to hear about that. And of course, your projects are awesome. You inspired me also to go green with my long dog, because I like your green project. And then the other thing is, when my sister was here, her husband's a pilot, so she has some time where he's gone. And so, and I got her into diamond art painting, diamond dots, diamond art, whatever you want to call it. And I said, would you be interested in learning how to cross stitch? Because she extended her trip, and I was like, I could download something, and I have fabric here, and I have the whole collection of DMC, so like I could just teach you real quick. And so her kitchen is decorated in lemons and blues. So I was like, I'm sure I can find something on Etsy. And I did. I'll put a picture in. So we sat down and I taught her how to cross stitch, which was super fun to do. And I think she really enjoys it. I need to get her to send me another progress picture, see how far she's at now. But it was really funny because she had to put her glasses on, and like she was so focused and determined. And so yeah, I think she really enjoyed it. So we'll see what else comes of that. If she sends me a progress photo, I will pop it into this video as well. So I think that's it now. Well, take care, everybody. Happy stitching. Bye.